Lynn Manwar. Everybody welcome Lynn Manwar to the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Well, my name is Lynn, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm 39 years old, and I said, okay, well, I'm going to take on a challenge. And the challenge is that I'm going to give a speech tonight while I'm undergoing treatment for the big C. Does anyone know what the big C is? Yeah! Cancer. So, I have a disclaimer. With cancer comes a bit of chemo brain and radiation fog. And also, don't be surprised if radiation just beams out of my chest. And I'm also kind of naked because I've been going braless for the past 3 weeks because I started radiation on August 1st. So today, you know, life is full of ups and downs, and I'm going to start with an up, and then I'm going to also share some thoughts on my recent journey of cancer. So on December 11th last year, it was really a high point for me because I had actually got to meet my father. I hadn't seen my father in 4.5 years. I'm his child of an affair. He never told his wife about me, never gave me his number, would see me over the years. It took me 4.5 years of banging my head, crying at, at the family gravestone, and miraculously I got his number, got his address, showed up at his house. We had a great reunion. That was December 11th, 2011. 9 days later, I walked into the doctor's office, and the doctor sat me down and said, you know what? You have a malignant tumor in your right breast, and you need to meet the surgeon right away. And it's large, and it's big. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I was so happy just like 9 days ago, and this is what happens. So 3 days later, 2 days before Christmas, December 23rd, my aunt and I, we went to the hospital, and I met with the surgeon, and he basically gave me my options. Remove your entire breast. And I'm single, by the way, so that I just started to panic. I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to deal with that? Or, you can do chemotherapy first, shrink the tumor, and then after do a lumpectomy. So those were my options. So I left that day with my aunt. Our heads were spinning. We're like, this is information overload. 2 days later comes Christmas. So on Christmas Day, I felt really bummed out. So I basically go to my mother. I'm going downtown by myself. I need me time. And it was kind of like a pity party, to be honest with you, because I went to church and then I was like crying my eyes out, standing at the back of St. Michael's Cathedral. And then I'm like, okay, I finished my crying, what am I going to do next? So I decided to go to Marché. And the thing about Marché, it's one of my favorite restaurants, but the key thing about that building, it's in the Brookfield Place, and my father is one of the architects who designed that building, because my father was a famous Canadian architect who never told the world about me. So it made me kind of feel connected to him, and I sat there and I said, okay, I can only feel sorry for myself for so long, so I came up with an action plan, had a great lunch, and I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Because what upset me the most, it's just your life just turns upside down. So I came up with my action plan, and I really felt empowered. So today I'm going to talk about some things I've learned in my journey. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, I gave you the dates. December 11th, I meet my dad. December 20th, I get diagnosed with cancer, and guess what? So the first theme is spirit and surrender. So miraculously, 8 days later, I already had a trip booked to Israel. So what a better place, a spiritual place. So 8 days later, I flew out and I arrived in Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, I was able to go to the 3 holiest places in 3 major faiths. I was able to visit the Church of the Holy, I can't pronounce this right, Skeptiker? Yeah. Okay, you got it. And the other place I went to the Western Wall, which is popular in Judaism, and I also went to the Dome of the Rock, which is popular in Islam, and they're all sort of connected in the same area. And when I went to each place, I just looked up and I said, okay, God, I surrender my life to you because I really don't know what's going to happen next. I have this big tumor in my right breast. What's going to go on? And it just made me feel better. And one thing you do in the Western Wall is you write a note. So you get your piece of paper, you write your note, and you put it in that wall. So I went there 3 times. So of course I did it more than once. I did it twice. And I put my note in the wall, and it was such a great thing just to, surrender my life and just say, okay, I let go. I just let go of how things would be. And it was very freeing because, you sit and worry, You know, as long as you worry about cancer, it controls you, but once you just surrender it, it just sets you free. And that was one key thing I learned about that. So the next thing I'll tell you about is think about being outside the box. So the sad thing about getting cancer at a young age, or at any age, is that it can put you into menopause, and it can affect both a man and a woman's fertility. So I'm 39, and I'm like, I want to have a family. So, you know, I fly back from Israel January 7th, I'm in the hospital January 9th and every other day. January 12th arrives, 9 o'clock, I'm with my mother. We go to Mount Sinai Fertility Clinic, 9 a.m. So they basically said, okay, these are your choices. You have to decide if you're going to do fertility treatment or not. And what fertility treatment, fertility preservation is, it's where you preserve your eggs and you can do embryos. Because in my situation at 39, I'm on the higher end of things. We don't know if my menopause will be permanent or temporary. So I basically had to decide in an instant if I'll go ahead with that. So I said yes. And for every day for the next 2 weeks, I was in the hospital. You have to go to do ultrasounds, blood tests. And in the end, I ended up with 13 eggs. And I decided, here's the kicker now. I'm single, so I actually decided to fertilize some of those eggs, and the key thing I learned about that experience is that I didn't let me being single and me potentially having, this cancer situation and not being able to have kids stop me, because, it's my dream to have a family. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna go do it. And it's the best thing. So I have those potential babies waiting for me in a freezer somewhere in Toronto. So I'll deal with that later. So that was sort of one message. Exactly. So any mothers out there, I'd like to talk to you because I need some tips. So the next thing I want to talk about is really the power of community contribution. So when this diagnosis happened, I was like, what do I do with myself? And I learned a lot about really community building a few years ago. I took a course. We all like our courses, our self-help courses. And what I started to do is I would share my journey on Facebook. Okay, there's Facebook talking about it again. And I would create videos, and everyone's asking, like, what can I do? What can I do to help? And so I basically was really specific. I told people, you can bring me videos, DVDs, you can drop off food, you can visit me at home or at the hospital. And throughout the entire time, I think I had 6 chemo sessions at the hospital. Only one time did I not have a visitor. It was my aunt was always with me. I had like 3 or 4 people at times. People I hadn't seen in years showed up at the hospital, because a lot of them, and I'm gonna get emotional about this, a lot of people who came to see me, they lost a parent or a spouse or like a friend from cancer. And it made them feel better to come visit me because they couldn't do it for their loved one. And it was such a moving thing, and it's really people who got me through the past 9 months. Like, if I didn't have those people, like, it just kept me going and going. And the key thing, if you ever need help, you need to ask. And if there's someone who needs help, you need to also think about contributing, because you do make a difference. So the lesson I learned from that experience is to be a good receiver, because I remember I had spoken to the editor of Good News Toronto, and she said, Lynn, you'll learn to be a good receiver, because I was always like, give, give, give. I'm the misdoer. So you sit back and you just sort of receive, and it's fantastic. The other lesson I sort of learned was about random acts of kindness. So in my shameless asking for stuff or for help, I had one Facebook friend, so he wrote me in my request for food, and he said, listen, pick your favorite restaurant in Toronto, and I will pick up the food and deliver it to your house. So this magical man, Michael, I picked an easy restaurant in Gerrard Street, Indian food, because during chemo, my stomach was kind of like, queasy. And he picked up the Indian food and delivered it to my house, and I met a new friend live. The key thing with him is that his sister had breast cancer, lost both breasts, and he just felt moved to help me. So he's my new friend, and and then the cool thing about him is that his sister is an Olympic athlete.
Wow.
So I met her live in July at the track and field meet in Toronto. She's won like 4 medals, gold medals too, and I never knew that. So it's like, it was just so, you know, moving. And I saw his sister at the track and field meet, and I said, you know what, your brother just totally moved me because, you know, he did this random act of kindness. And the other thing, you know, when you're in Toronto, and I just wanted to share, so before I had breast surgery June 14th, before the surgery, I decided to take pictures of my breast because I didn't know what the outcome would be. And so at the end of May, Linda, a friend of mine, volunteered to take photos, so she did. And I had a gift card given to me. I had an end of chemo party for Milestones. So I was like, okay, let's go to Milestones and, you know, okay, I'll treat you to dinner for taking pictures of my chest area. And so we ended up at Milestones, and of course I take off my hat, and like 3 months ago I hardly had any hair. And so one lady comes over and she's like, oh, you got the chemo cut? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, my daughter has it too. And so, and the waiter says, oh, we just started chatting with us, and you know, I shared, you know, I just finished chemo. So then he goes and tells the manager. To make a long story short about that, is at the end of the evening, he comes up to us, he goes, this is your first major dinner out, it's going to be on us. He took care of like a $70 bill. Wow. Young and chipper at Milestones. That's like random act of kindness at its fullest. He totally made my day because I've been upset and crying, going, am I going to lose my breast? Because I didn't really know lumpectomy, mastectomy, and he really made me feel good. So it's just random act of kindness is amazing. And I mean, other things, there's Facebook friends, Facebook again, who mailed me tea from Ottawa, you know? And even I was at the Oprah show, and one girl who works at Starbucks found me at 9,000 people. I was sitting in my seat and she brought me tea. 2 bags of tea. So the other thing, oh, is my time up? No? Okay, just 2 last things. Worldwide gifts and support. I just wanted to say that, you know, I had lost all my hair, and one of my former tenants from a property I now own lives in Abu Dhabi. And she actually, I lost my hair, so she mailed me headscarves that she bought in Singapore, brought it back to Abu Dhabi, and sent it all the way here with some brooches. And another amazing gift, now back to Facebook, a friend of a friend, he was subscribed to my public updates, and one day I said, I want a butterfly to represent my transformation in this journey. And the point is he's a jewelry designer. He designed me a silver ring, and specially for me, and mailed it out. Oh, wow. And that was his way of supporting me. The last thing I want to say is that Michael, who's here, he told me to create a joy list, which I've done. And another cancer graduate told me to do something special for myself every day. So that's what I've been doing. And I will continue to do till I finish radiation September 14th. I just wanted to leave you with the thought that use your life lessons to help other people. So if you have anything that causes you pain or any challenges you've overcome, make sure that you take it and see how you can help the world. Thank you.